Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of the CW's The Originals. This week we've seen Season 3, Episode 21, which was called Give 'Em Hell, Kid. And, wow. This was an incredible episode. This almost felt finale-worthy, it really was one of the best build-ups and setups to a finale I've ever seen with any show. Easily one of the best episodes of the season. It felt really intense and really personal all around because, of course, with the consequences and repercussions of what the Mikaelsons did to Davina in order to depower Lucian in the previous episode. So a big concentration was, of course, on that and how Marcel is dealing with it and what he's going to do now. Of course, we were left with, at the end of last week's episode, that he might take the serum to make him sort of that upgraded original, like Lucian was. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But this episode was just so well acted all around, especially on the parts of Charles Michael Davis, who plays Marcel, Joseph Morgan, Klaus as always, Daniel Gillies. Just everyone did a wonderful job here. The writing forward, I also want to praise. This had to be one of the best written episodes dialogue-wise. It even makes me think of Season 1, Episode 16. When Klaus and Rebecca were sort of working out their conflict, and we just had that great back and forth with them. It reminded me of that type of thing. The episode opens. I have about almost 2 pages worth of notes here. We open with a funeral sequence for Cammy, for Camille. She wanted the Irish wake, and she got it. Marcel saying the Mikaelsons need to answer for this, as him, Vincent, and Kol sort of hold their own little memorial for Davina, who already has her grave marked and stuff within the cemetery. Let's see. And, Marcel, Vincent, Kol, and Josh all kind of say their goodbyes. I've missed seeing Josh lately, too. We haven't seen him much in a while. Josh just says how open and trusting he was to Davina, telling her about his first boyfriend, that story we heard a while ago, how he never told anyone else that. Kol really couldn't find the words, but the actor who plays him, Nathaniel Boslick, he did a really good job, selling the pain he's going through. The guy who plays Vincent does fine too. And Marcel, of course, says words aren't enough. And again, back to the Irish wake for Cammy. They're holding it in the bar. We always see everyone frequent that she worked at. We see Officer Kimball again. Apparently, he's suspicious about how she died, and he's looking into it again, which I was a little bit irritated by at first. I felt like it wasn't. I guess that would happen. But it went in a decent direction by the end of the episode. At first I thought it was just going to be like a secondary threat all of a sudden, but nah, they didn't really go with that. Marcel does go there, and he drops off a flower for Cammy, because Marcel did still care about her. And then we have Klaus and Elijah being really divided in this episode too, about what to do with Marcel, or what to do about Marcel, and just divided on how the sacrificing of Davina should have went down, or should have went down at all. Klaus saying, Marcel's anger is justified, and he leaves to try and talk Marcel down. We also had Kol sort of getting into Freya a little bit, because Freya was one of the ones one of the more directly responsible ones for, considering as her magic and her idea and stuff like that, or at least partly. Kol basically ends up saying you can all rot in hell, and he also tells Freya personally, I never for a second wanted you, referring to the time when Freya was trying to find all of them when she was alone, trying to find her family, with the whole Dahlia thing. If you remember that, you should. So that was a really personal shot at Freya, but one I can sort of understand. I understand Kol's anger. I definitely understand Marcel's anger. And this episode really just made me question who I actually should be rooting for here. Well, of course, obviously, I'm rooting for Klaus because he's my favorite character ever, and but at the same time, I can really see Marcel's perspective really well, and I can't say he's incorrect in doing what he's doing either. He, like Klaus said, he's justified. So this episode really made you question a lot of things and made you sort of go back and forth on it, which again was a credit to the writing, which I thought was just amazing and excellent in every way in this episode. But back to the specifics. Sorry for the voice crack. Josh is trying to talk Marcel down, just because he knows they're the originals, so this, likely won't end well. But Marcel brings up that he has the serum. Then we get a pretty creepy scene, or creepy and sort of intense scene with Freya and Elijah sort of seeing the visions of Marcel, killing each member of the Mikaelson family, like Klaus being held down by a bunch of them getting staked and, various things like that, which is just, really causes panic for you to see, you know what I mean? And then we get Klaus, going to Marcel's place, and he's trying to talk Marcel down, expressing his sympathies, but Marcel ends up saying, "You are my mentor, my savior, now you're nothing." And again, really personal. They've had conflicts before, but I don't think anything's ever been quite this tense with them. It's been close, but not to this level. Klaus ends up taking Marcel to the bridge from which they first crossed, and they took Marcel when he was a child, from the plantation owners and stuff like that. We'll get back to that in a second, though. We also had Vincent going around with Kimball, trying to introduce him to the world that he's actually in, and kind of briefly and sort of piece by piece selling the pieces of the parts of the world he's in, what was the cause for Cammy's death, or what it was all connected to. Vincent wants to sever the ancestor's connection, so the witches could have a new start. Like I said, Klaus took Marcel to the bridge. Marcel is not really wanting to hear it, because he just thinks Klaus is just working this, like he's worked everyone else. And Elijah shows up because, of course, he's now more paranoid than ever, and probably rightfully so, because he now knows Marcel does have the serum, and he's wondering what he's going to do or what he's planning here. And we get, again, great acting from Charles Michael Davis here, just running down both of them, saying how Klaus always has this, control complex, like he always wants to be king, he always wants to be in control. Also, Klaus is saying he's family, and before Elijah showed up, not right now. Sorry about that, guys. But, with Marcel, he thinks, he was actually cracking a little bit, it seemed like, before Elijah showed up, and that maybe they could actually... It seemed like for a second Marcel was starting to come around to Klaus again. Well, Elijah showed up, and Klaus sort of started questioning, but if Marcel does take this, as much as I care about him, he's going to be a threat to everyone else I care about. What? Give me a second, guys. I apologize. You gotta love living with almost your whole family. Which is ironic. Anyway. So again, this just really, Marcel pointing out how, it's all flipped now, how Klaus is sort of starting to turn over on him again. Marcel talking about how, they're both betraying him. When Elijah says, he's going to betray us, Marcel, kind of turns it around. He even brings up how Lucian, maybe, the Mikaelsons were actually the villain in his story because they abandoned Lucian and they didn't do this for him and they were gone for so many years. He says I was a fool. Always and forever is just an excuse. And I cannot do the dialogue or the acting justice just by talking about it and trying to repeat, the parts of it I jotted down. Again, just great acting back and forth from Charles Michael Davis and Joseph Morgan, especially Daniel Gillies too. Elijah actually ends up tearing out Marcel's heart and tossing him into the river, and he appears to be dead. But going into the finale, we know something more is going to happen with this, and we kind of seen the visions. So I had a feeling Marcel sort of had a plan already, but we'll talk about that in a second. We had Kol and Vincent actually finding Davina again. Kol actually is able to say goodbye to Davina, and it appears like Davina is able to actually sever the connection the ancestors have to, the Earth realm and stuff like that. With the whole cemetery, I forget something. I'm forgetting the other word for it, but the whole cemetery is sort of just breaking down, which is made for some pretty cool shots. And Elijah, he tells Klaus he had no choice with regards to Marcel, and Klaus says, "Do you really believe that?" So he can really say how personal Klaus is taking this, and he really was going to try and find another way. He would have, I don't know what he was going to do, but I don't think he was ever going to resort to actually killing Marcel, unless Marcel right away directly went after one of the others or something, maybe. But Klaus is just a lot less willing to put him down when he had to, just again showing the father-son relationship. I'm not describing this as well as it should be. Haley actually sort of talks to Klaus a little bit. She says, "You have to forgive Elijah," and Klaus ends up saying, "You sound like Cammy," and they sort of share a little bit of a look with each other. I don't know if anyone else seen it there, but I don't know, it made me think about the Claylee thing a little bit, but I don't know. But we did have, of course, Haley also comforting Elijah, and they share a kiss, which is nice. Then we had, Klaus getting the first book. They had taught Marcel how to read, and that's when Josh finds out Marcel is, supposedly dead, and Vincent tells him that apparently Marcel had taken the serum right away, or right when he gave it to him at the end of last week's episode. And this is all part of a plan for Marcel to make them think he was dead, and to sort of set up in a way that's going to benefit him even more. If Mikaelsons think he's dead, then they're in for a hell of a surprise. We see Marcel at the bottom of the river. We see his eyes go a little bit more red, and he wakes up. So yeah, hell of a cliffhanger for next week's finale for sure. And that's the end of the episode. I really wanted to see the next part right away. The finale next week should be amazing. But this episode overall is just really great by itself at the same time. Just again, really great acting from everyone involved, from Joseph Morgan to Charles Michael Davis, Daniel Gillies, really well written dialogue. I just absolutely loved it. It felt very personal, very raw, emotional. Just really well done, I think. And I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm worried about Freya, because I feel like she might be one of the first ones Marcel might try to take out, since she was directly, sort of more so directly responsible. I want Freya to die. I don't want Marcel to die. I don't know how this is going to end well, because it appears that Davina, at this point, maybe has found peace. It appears like she's, put down the ancestor, so she might be done for good. So she's not going to come back and make Marcel all, cool again or anything. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm nervous, honestly. I'm glad the show's giving me that feeling. I'm really looking forward to the finale next week. So, alright, and with that, next week I should be getting the review out on time. I'm supposed to be off next Friday, so I'm looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Comment below if the other things I forgot to mention. I'm sure there were a few things. And so follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and look for me on SwallowDead.com. Catch you guys next time, and peace.